because y'all, I want something spicy. Oh, 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 O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Ow. Me and Monique must just be a funny person. It gets tense, and it got tense, and he had to take his booty to the anger management class. They were also dating as well, which is, I'm pretty sure, illegal. They had a little booty, a little booty on her part to him. She put a couple of little booty beads of the booty, his booty. They met in anger management. Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm in my reading era right now. I've been reading so much lately. The issue is I have been reading majority physical books, and when I read my physical books, typically they're going to be trad published. So I have not been really reading on my Kindle, which means that I have not been reading indie authors that much. We are trying to get back into my KU era. I am going to be reading some different Kindle Unlimited books. When I read Kindle Unlimited books, I am reading mainly spicy books. And for some reason, spicy books, I can't read them like I used to anymore. It's like after I read one, I need to go into like a non-romance, honestly. First book that I'm probably going to read is the second book in the If You Can series by CCJ. I ended up reading, and I'm going to talk about it in here. I ended up reading Catch Me If You Can, which is book 1. I gave it a 4.5. I just finished it, I don't know, an hour ago. I really enjoyed it. It's a romantic suspense. So we have a girl named Naomi and a guy named Marcus. Marcus is an FBI agent who is trying to catch this jewel thief, and Naomi is our jewel thief. He ends up bumping into her as she's on the run, but she doesn't realize he's an FBI agent. He doesn't realize that she's who he's trying to find. He realizes it later, but he ends up finding some information out, and they both end up having to work with each other. I guess you could say it's a more tame version of the one by St. Abbey, the Mine F series. That one is just very gruesome. This is actually a romantic suspense. One of the things I hate when people talk about the Mine F series is that they talk about it being a romance. And yes, it has, we're getting into it. Yes, it has romance. It's more about revenge than a romance, in my opinion. Like the first 2 books maybe have romance, the others don't. But anyways, that's not what this is about. So I ended up giving it a 4.5. The problem is it's a trilogy, so it's 3 books and it's interconnected. Like, we kind of left off on a cliffhanger, and one of the things that I don't really like about it is that each of the 3 books are focusing on different people, but with the cliffhanger that the first book leaves on, I didn't really enjoy that Naomi and, did I say Quentin? Quentin is another person. I think his name is Marcus. Quentin is in the other book. I just didn't really like that Marcus and Naomi, their story just isn't tied up with a bow, in my opinion. But it is because that storyline is going to continue. But what I don't like is that we're focusing on different characters in those other books. I'm going to be reading book 2. The second book is called Release Me If You Can. I'm not going to talk about plot, which is why I almost didn't want to put it in here. It is going to be picking up from book 1. Quentin is a hacker agent. Renata is an FBI agent. FBI or CIA? Pretty sure she's FBI. Renata finds herself in a situation and she's gonna need the help of Quentin. Hello. I am on 38% of Release Me If You Can. Again, I'm not gonna go over plot because right when I started like chapter 1, we're literally picking up from where we left off. We have gotten a chapter. I think it's the chapter that I just finished. I'm only on 38%, but I'm on like chapter 8. I just got to 8. So this was like chapter 7. We did actually get, because this is 3rd POV, but we did actually get a POV of Naomi and Marcus from book 1. I'm liking it. However, I think it's going to be like a 4-star. I mean, I'm not done yet. I'm not liking the trope. Again, I don't want to get too into detail because I don't want to spoil anything from book 1. There's a connection between our two main characters, Renata and Quentin. And at first I didn't understand the connection. I think it's a me thing because we found something out in book one, but maybe I just read it wrong. Or maybe the way it was written in book one, CCJ didn't give you all the information, but because we're reading their book now, we're getting more information. I don't know, I just don't like that. But I mean, it's okay. I'm definitely understanding the story better than I did in book one because, again, we're getting more detail about the plot from book one. I feel like I know what I want to read next. Depending on how this story ends, I don't know if I want to read that third and final book in this series or not. Like, I'm gonna read it, I just don't know if I'm gonna read it in this video because y'all, I want something spicy. And I know this is gonna be spicy. It's just we're not there yet. With book one, we got there quick because there was no connection between Marcus and Naomi. There was no connection. They got to know each other. There's a little more background information with Renata and Quentin. So it's like, O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Ow! I don't know if that's a local commercial or not. Probably. I don't know. Anyways, Quentin is from Louisiana. For those of you who don't know, I am as well. There's a saying that we say down here. There's a word called sha. I have to keep in mind when this book was written. This is like a book from 2015. Sha is like a Cajun thing. That's the 337. That's like Southern Louisiana slang. I'm not saying people from North Louisiana don't say it. You would hear it more, you know, in the South. And just all the Southern, not just the Lafayette 337 area, but New Orleans too. You know, we just say sha. Quentin says sha every other sentence. It was bad in book one. It's not as bad in book two, but I know it's coming. I don't like it. I don't like it's sha this. It's used 33 times in book two. Anytime there's a character in a book from Louisiana, I'm gonna be picky. Anytime our little slang, our little, what is it, vernacular? I don't know. I'm gonna be picky about it. I'm done. New angle. I don't like that angle. I'm gonna have to try and do it this way. My camera charging. I'm almost done. I have 25 minutes left. We're finding out some stuff, so bear with me because I thought we were going somewhere else with this. It's making a little bit of sense. I want to say I have lots of thoughts when I finish this, but I really don't. Yeah. I'm like this close to being confused. This is me throughout the entire book. Even the first one a little bit. It's like it's going so fast. I'm supposed to be fixing my salad. Y'all, I think we're about to find something out. I think it's on the next page. Never mind. Girl, what? I don't know what to say. So I just finished it. I'm gonna give it a 4-star. I think the biggest thing is I need to remember that this is technically romantic suspense, even though for some reason I feel like I want to say it's suspenseful romance. No, romantic suspense? Yeah, I guess I would say romantic suspense. It's more suspense though than romance, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it's because of, you know, our two main characters. Despite us having two main characters on the book, it's really everyone. It is action-packed. I mean, she thought this out, you know, in her head, all of the different cliffhangers and twists. What I will say about the twists is that the twists aren't suspenseful enough. So I know I said that the book is suspenseful, but it's more action-packed. There's lots of action. The suspense, it lacks a little bit because it's almost like as soon as a character finds out something, like it's mathing in their head, all of a sudden whoever they're talking to asks, you know, well, what is it? They just spill the beans. They literally just spill the beans. The only time something is truly kept as a cliffhanger, at least in this book, is the ending. I've complained about that before, where it's like, oh my gosh, like it just drags on. We get so many twists and we don't find anything out until the end. And it's like this one, you're finding out the twist and you're finding out all the information that you need right then and there. I just wish it were a little more suspenseful. I swear to you, I don't understand this camera. What is going on? I let it charge yesterday. And it does that all the time. I'll let it charge. And then the next day, when I go to use it, it's dead. And it's like, I know I'm not overcharging it. Great news. Went ahead and started the writer's block. And I remember where I saw it. I'm going to put her picture over here. I don't remember what she gave it, but I remember seeing it in her wrap-up that she did. I don't remember what her rating was. I'm loving it. So I'm almost gonna have 30 minutes left. Mind you, it's only like 190 pages. I don't even think it's that long. I think it's like 160. This is by Mia Monique. This is called The Writer's Block. This is the same author that wrote The Grim Reaper's Lawyer, which I read 2 years ago, I believe. And I loved it. Well, I didn't absolutely love it just because I almost didn't want it to be a romance, but it is. I think I gave it like a 4-star. But I have been waiting patiently, but not patiently, for the second book. I think it's coming out this year. I could be wrong. Now she has one other book that I can read, and then I will have read all of what she has. So this has some tropes that I'm not a huge fan of, which is friends to lovers. We have a girl named JJ, but, well, he calls her JJ, but her name is Josephine. And then we have Caleb. I don't know how I did not remember his name was Caleb. He's a football player, and she is a YA best-selling author. She is trying to get away from YA books, and she wants to go into more adult romances. The problem is she needs inspiration. Now, this is the part where I thought she was a virgin, but she's not. She's had, you know, before. It's never been good. She's looking for some inspiration, and they're best friends. Like, I know it says on the cover friends to lovers, but this is best friends to lovers, if we're being honest. She is telling him this summer is gonna be so fun because she's gonna be trying to find men to, you know, have relations with, so she can do research, basically. And he jokes around, is like, just like, I'ma do it. She's like, no. We have Caleb, and he is a football player. Pretty sure this is college. He has this reputation about him. He's not really sleeping around, but this is getting on my nerves. He's been in compromising situations where it kind of looks like something, but it's not. Something happens. His manager, I guess, or coach, you know, it's like, you need to like find a girlfriend or something because it's not gonna go well if it keeps on like this. So he, you know, plants this idea in JJ's head, like, hey, well, not plants it in her head, but he goes up to her and he's like, hey, we need to fake date. And she's like, well, what do I get out of this? He's like, I'm gonna help you with your research. I'm almost done. I'm loving it. However, I just can't give this a 5-star. One, it's too short. I'm telling you now, I have 30 minutes left, and I really wish this were, you know, a lot longer than it is. Like 200 pages if you want, 230. Not a novella. I just feel like I want so much more. Hell, I think this is 120 pages, actually. I just don't like best friends to lovers, but it's so funny. Oh my gosh, and I remember the Grim Reaper's Lawyer being funny. Mia Monique must just be a funny person because I'm telling you, I love her writing. This is only my second book of hers, but I'm loving it. Don't be surprised when I do give it a 4. It's just, it's a novella, and I used to not care. Like, I used to give novellas 5 stars all the time. Now, you know, I'm really kind of thinking about it more, and it's just, it's too short. I'm actually trying to stop myself from highlighting, which is dumb because it's like, it's on my Kindle. I'm not using actual tabs. Just highlight whatever. But yeah, let me go finish. I just finished it. Like I said, I'm gonna give it a 4-star. I just wish it were longer. I think because it's the whole best friends to lovers thing, I mean, it's cut and dry, you know what I mean? Like, we know how it's gonna end. We know what the little climax is gonna be, what the conflict is gonna be. So it's like, I guess the length was fine. it did feel rushed. I mean, it's a short book anyway. I don't know what I'm gonna read next. I really need to read the last book in that trilogy by CCJ. I've been putting it off just to kind of get out of the world for a little bit. I might go ahead and start that at some point. I did this video purposefully because I've been neglecting all my indie authors that I really like. I need to find a good balance between reading my ebooks, my Kindle, and my physical trad published books. I have read indie published books physically, but most of the time they're going to be traditionally published. Hello. Hold on. I always forget this. Okay, y'all. So this might be my last book of this video. I don't know. And guess what I started reading? I think a book that I didn't even mention. I started Defensive Stance by Keisha, or Kasha. I'm gonna say Keisha Thompson. This is the first book in, I'm assuming a series, but right now it's technically a duet because the second book I think just came out sometime this year. I've read her before. I've read Holding Back the Years, I believe last year. It was a good book. I'm loving it. Okay, so we have, like y'all, I can't, I can't stop. Okay, so some of the tropes, it's sports romance. He's a basketball player. He's a pro basketball player. And she's a single parent. There's nothing toxic between her and her ex. I don't remember if they were married. I don't think so. There's nothing toxic between them. She has a son named Ace, and he gets him once a week. She gets the other week, and they trade off. But anyways, so we have Sloan, and we have Dion. Dion and Sloan meet at anger management. He is a professional basketball player, and, you know, it gets tense. And it got tense, and he had to take his booty to the anger management classes, where he met Sloan, who is there for ramming her car into her patrol office. Patrol? I don't know what you would call that. She's already on probation. Who is that, her patrol officer? I don't know. I don't know about that. But the person that I think is supposed to like keep watch on her or something, I don't know. She rammed into his car because they were also dating as well, which is, I'm pretty sure, illegal. That's how they meet, and off the bat, like, it's just so good. It's funny, and maybe I'm just talking about myself. I automatically assume that a cartoon covered book is a rom-com, but I love that this book, I haven't been seeing it promoted as a rom-com, but it's so funny. And I typically find those kinds of books funnier than books that this is a rom-com. Now, here's the thing. I know what I like in books, and I know what I don't like. And like, y'all, I'm cheesing right now. There are some things in this book that I hate that I love because I know that in another book I would take points off for it. So like I said, the book is funny. However, I do find there are moments where it's kind of like, it's cheesy, and it's almost always with a female main character. In this book, I think it's because I'm liking the book in general that it's not coming off as cheesy, in my opinion. I'm on 30%. And apparently this is gonna have fake dating, which is gonna be interesting because they've already had spicy time. And when I tell you, it was so spicy. Now, personally, I don't rate spice in books. You know how some people do like the little chili peppers or whatever that is, the peppers? I don't do that because for me, when it comes to spicy scenes, I take quality over quantity. So I might give a book, which I wouldn't because I don't do that, but I might give a book 5 spicy peppers, even though the book maybe had 2 spicy scenes, over a book that might have 10 spicy scenes, but I might give a 1 spice because it wasn't giving. So far we've had one scene. It was 5 spice, okay? It was detailed, it was good. They had a little booty, a little booty on her part to him, like, y'all. Hello. It's 9:53 a.m. Saturday morning. I wanted to give a little update about my last book for this video. I had mentioned on my story that I was 30% in and it was gonna be a 5-star I have the hiccups this morning. I don't believe it's gonna be a 5-star, and I'm gonna tell you why. Meaning, like, it'll be like a 4.5 or something, but not a 5. One of the biggest things in here, and I'll tell you why. Also, I don't want to take points off for it, but I will anyway. The spice. It's a lot spicier than I thought. That's great. The problem is, when it comes to spicy books to me, if there's going to be a ton of spicy scenes, I prefer for them to all be unique. I don't want the same old, same old. I had good feelings about this because I told y'all they had a little booty in here. I don't know if I mentioned that. But who is it? Dion is a very kinky, meaning her to him. And I thought that was interesting. That's not really unique. I've read it a couple of times in books, but I haven't read it in a while. So I was like, okay, it's looking up. And then we got more and more scenes, and it's like it was the same old spicy scenes. It was shortened to the point. Like, it was detailed, but it was rushed. And then we got somewhere, I thought I highlighted it. He literally says that, you know, they've been having intercourse a lot. Oh, right here. Chapter 26, he ends up saying, most importantly, she didn't kink shame me. Nothing was too weird. And he ends up telling her some of the things. And before that, we actually found out that she put a couple of little booty beads up the booty, his booty. So it's kind of like, we didn't get to see any of that. It seems like all of these unique scenes are just being summarized to us. We're not actually reading it ourselves. And the scenes that we are getting in detail is the same old stuff that we've been reading since chapter 1. Well, maybe not chapter 1. I don't like that, so I'm gonna have to take points off. The reason why I don't want to take points off is because I didn't go into this book, first of all, expecting for it to be super spicy. And you know, that wasn't even what I was expecting anyway. But it's like, knowing that that's what we could have been getting this entire time, I gotta take some points off. So let me see where I'm at. I probably have about an hour left, maybe I'll say 40 minutes. An hour and 2 minutes. I'm on 76%. The other part that I mentioned earlier that I was nervous about was, well, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I was nervous about the way that they met in anger management. You know what? I'm going to save that for the end when I give my final thoughts. But there was something else. Hello. That last clip where I said I'm going to come back and talk about what I read, like my final thoughts, that was probably a month ago or a couple of weeks ago, because I've already finished 7 books since I read that one. I feel like I did a really good job in this video with, as soon as I have some thoughts, pick up my camera, turn it on, talk about it. I ended up giving Defensive Stance a 4-star. I have a whole review on Goodreads because I went into detail. I'm gonna kind of skim it because I know I kind of already talked about some things, so let's just see. It was better than I was expecting. I was a little iffy about reading it because, I mean, a lot of people don't really talk about it. I've seen, I think, Babe and Library talk about it before, and I actually knew about the book beforehand because I've heard people talk about this author's other books, like The Unforeseen Circumstance or something. It's like a wedding book, not really this one. It was very funny. I laughed, I giggled. I was like, oh. Again, I mentioned in the clip before, I just wish that the spicy scenes were a little more unique, give us different kinds of scenes. What we got was rushed, the same stuff on the bed. Now, what I'm about to say, it's kind of like, girl, why does it matter? Because this is fiction, but we're gonna get into it anyway. I was a little worried about how they met. They met in anger management. And that brings me to one other scene in particular. I don't know if I ever mentioned this. Most of the time, they didn't really get angry at each other. They have. But, you know, the reasons why they were in anger management was their anger towards other people. I don't know how realistic that is, but there were instances where they rah-rahed, you know, they fussed with each other, and there's a scene that I did not like. I don't know if I ever mentioned it in here. I'm kind of now editing the video. I just haven't gotten to this particular book that I'm talking about, so I don't know. But there's a scene, I guess somewhere towards the middle, I don't know. And without spoiling anything, one of the characters gets mad at the other and calls the other an MF. I didn't like that. It definitely put a bad taste in my mouth, and that also kind of solidified my rating of the book of being a 4-star. I didn't like that. I'm not going to say I understood it, but there was some sort of miscommunication going on. But at the same time, why did we get that reaction? That particular reaction, you know? And it did get repetitive towards the end. I feel like we were kind of getting the same, not necessarily the same scenes, but they were talking about the same thing. It was dragging, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Let's find something new to talk about. But listen, it was a really great book, if I'm being honest. Yes, I have some stuff that I could pick out that I didn't like, but honestly, it wasn't until I got to about the 70% mark, because up until then, it was like a 5-star. But when I started getting, you know, towards the end, I started thinking back on everything and kind of over-analyzing. And I found that there were some things, because yes, 5 stars for me aren't necessarily perfect. The 5 stars this year, most of them are kind of. I can maybe pick one minuscule thing. With this one, I just felt like I had a lot that I could complain about, and I felt like they were kind of a big deal. I would still recommend it to people. I don't know who I would recommend it to. I think because it's so crazy how, and then I'll get out of here. I don't know how many people made it to the end, but it's so crazy how you know what you don't like in books, and it's so easy when you read a book and it's not giving, and it's like, well, I could pinpoint exactly why I don't like it because of this, this, and this. And then you read another book that you're loving, yet it has some of those same qualities and tropes and whatever that you complain about in other books. It's in there. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week. Bye!